Maxie, I've been thinking, should we do season 3 on the Dr. Joe Show? You sure? You sure it's a good idea? You know, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome to the Dr. Joe Show. I'm Joe, and today we are doing our 35th cigar review here at the Dr. Joe Show. Cigar review number 35. Not a huge number of cigar reviews as compared to some sites out there, but you know how we do things here. We like to go in deep, and the videos run a little long. But hey, it's a concept. It gives people time to smoke the cigar along with the show, and hell, everybody who subscribes here knows we do a lot of other shit as well, and people seem to like it. So that's what we're going to keep doing. Today, we have a rather interesting cigar, rather interesting concept, a lot of interesting people behind it, a lot of interesting history behind the people, a lot of interesting tobacco, a lot of interesting history behind that tobacco, and a lot of opinions about all of the formerly mentioned. So, we're in for a very cool episode, even though, unlike so many episodes before, recently anyway, well, not recently, but, you know, season 2 with all the boxes and unboxings and bundles, and the beginning of this season with 50 cabinets. Well, today we only have a single stick. But that's good, because it gives me a chance to remind everybody out there that a single stick is all you need. It's all you need to participate. It's all you need to join in. It's all you need to, you know, become a lifelong member of the Cigar Smokers Club of America. You don't need boxes. You don't need humidors. You don't need fancy schmancy $1,000 lighters. All you need is the cigar, a single cigar, and everything else comes after. So, with that in mind, today we will be sparking up the L'Atelier LAT. The company is actually L'Atelier. A lot of people mistakenly refer to it as simply as a Pete Johnson cigar. Pete Johnson of Tatuaje Cigars, best known for Tatuaje Cigars. That's not entirely true. Like most things out there, it's partially true. But we'll get into all of that. So without any further ado, here's a few snapshots of very pretty looking cigar in my opinion, after which we will get into the review. So, Welcome back to the Dr. Joe Show. Hope you like those pictures. L'Atelier. Well, let me tell you something. First of all, like most American market cigars, like most, not all, and there are a fair share of them out there these days that do not follow this trend, but like most American concept cigars, the L'Atelier comes wrapped in cellophane, which is not entirely a bad thing. So taking the cellophane off, very strong aromas. Here's one thing I don't like sometimes about cellophane, and in a way I like it. It depends on the cigar. Cellophane really traps in the aroma of the particular cigar. You know, we're not going to get into all sorts of things about how it affects the aging process and all that. We're just going to look at aroma. And you know, when you open a box of cigars with no cellophane and it's a nice bundle of 25, or let's say you have a cabinet box 25, you open it up and you get that nice rich aroma and everything. Well, the aroma from a single cigar that's been wrapped in cellophane, and you know, depending on how long it's been around, when you open that thing up, it can be very potent. Sometimes that's a good thing because wow, it like really gives you a deep aroma of what that blend smells like. Sometimes it's not such a great thing because the aroma can get so strong. There are certain notes that are a little sour smelling, a little bitter smelling. Well, when I first unwrapped the L'Atelier, I got a bit of a bitter note, a bit of a, you know, which went away fairly quickly. And if you've unwrapped a lot of cellophane cigars, you know what I'm talking about. It's a note that goes along with the more chocolatey smelling cigars. It can get this really sharp, slightly bitter note. Anyway, once that was out of the way, you have a very pleasant smelling cigar, a lot of cocoa, very nice, not too rich, not too bland, just a lot of cocoa. That's what I'm smelling. It smells very good. It's a little Barney, you know, a little Barney, and smells like a lot of cigars that I've enjoyed before. So hopefully it will follow that trait. Very nice. See the filler right there. Now the filler smells very different from the cigar itself. You go like this, I smell cocoa. I go like this, I smell this Barney aroma with a bit of that sour note, but it's not overwhelming. It's a very strong smell in this blend here, and that's what happened when it was packed in cellophane. Not really fault of the cigar itself, and I'm not even rating anything based on that. Just saying, one of those things. So let's cut it up. Let's light it up. It's got a little pigtail cap. You'll notice a few things about its appearance if you've been following along with our Cuban cigar reviews, or if you're a Cuban cigar smoker, you're noticing a few things, and we will talk about that. As you can see, pigtail cap, you know, all right, well, we'll talk about that. So, let's light it up. Let's cut it up. There we go. So, now you see, a lot of salt, cocoa. It tastes very much like it smells. There's even a little bit of that. It's not bitter. It's a little bit of a more sour note. Now it's getting fairly meaty. Cocoa, coffee-esque. Not much spice at all yet. A lot of flavor, though. A lot of flavor. I like it. Very different. I mean, I've been smoking so... You know, another reason I wanted to say, quick, let's get a non-Cuban cigar. And I hate calling them that. I really freaking hate calling them that. Non-Cuban. Come on, man. What else do you call it, though? I really wanted to smoke a Nicaraguan cigar or Dominican cigar or any other cigar because I've been smoking Cuban, and I love cigars from Nicaragua and from the Dominican Republic, especially Nicaragua. And wanted to give this a shot. So very, very, very different, man. This is what I'm talking about. Like when people are like, well, how do you tell a Cuban cigar and from a Nicaraguan cigar? Do you think maybe they buy cheap Nicaraguans and throw bands on them? And there's all sorts of things they do, man. But after a while, you just got to sense, you trust your palate, you know? After a while, you know, you put this in a batch of Cubans with no bands on of the same size, and there's a perfect box of cigars you could actually disguise this in, providing that they're fairly similar in shade. And we'll talk about that, like I said. But you pick this one up, you know it's not Cuban. But it's not bad either. All right, let's light her up. All right, so we're lighting up our L'Atelier LAT54. I did not say that before. Our LAT54, LAT54, and we'll get into the naming convention later. It is a 54 ring gauge cigar, measuring in at 5 5/8 of an inch. Fairly decent sized cigar. Bigger than a Robusto. And we're just going to fire this bad boy up. I am running out of long matches. Very nice. Nice light. Nice draw. Interesting. The aroma on the light, heavy with baking bread, spices, and fairly floral. Smooth through the nose right at the start. Tiny bit of spice. Very little though, hardly any, and some very nice natural sweet notes. Some deeper earthy flavors kicking in. Very, very nice burn so far. I love a good draw and a good burn on a big cigar. A little bit of tingly pepper. A little leathery. Some coffee flavors kicking in, like I said. Floral. Floral. Every puff I'm getting this very... And it's not only in the nose, it's not only in the aroma. It's there too. The aroma is fairly sweet. Some floral, perfumey type note going on. Nice. More spice kicking in now at the back of the palate, pharynx. Very nice through the nose for a non-Cuban cigar. There we go, non-Cuban. Very nice through the nose for a Nicaraguan cigar, a Nicaraguan-made cigar. It's not a Nicaraguan Puro. We'll talk a little bit more about that, of course. Very, very nice so far. Really enjoying the light. I'm really enjoying the beginning of the first third. Smooth. Just very, very smooth. You know? Nice texture smoke. Not too creamy, not too wispy, just kind of average. But I'm really liking the floral aspect of it. You know, that faint tingly spice. I like that. I love how smooth it is. The aroma's really nice. This cigar is starting out with a bang, but it's not banging. You know what I mean? It's not like, wow, flavor overload. Oh, holy shit. No, you know, it's starting out with a bang as far as just good cigar, great quality goes. So far, so good. So, yeah, starting to taste really good now. And just every draw, that perfumey floral note, which I personally really like. I'm going to take a few more puffs, and we're going to get right into L'Atelier Imports, the company, the men behind it, and all that other stuff like we said before. So, stick with me. Very nice. I've just been sitting here for a few minutes puffing on my cigar, getting in the mood, and so far, really, really nice. Just some really nice sweet notes, really nice Grammy notes, cocoa notes. It's a sweet cigar. It's a fairly sweet cigar with this underlying floral tone to it. Very, very, very nice. Really enjoying it. Beautiful ash. Beautiful construction so far. Great draw, great burn. Yeah. Very floral. Tiny, tiny hints of spice here and there. Very nice so far. So, let me put that down for a second. L'Atelier Imports. Well, what is L'Atelier? What is L'Atelier? L'Atelier is two things. It's a company, L'Atelier Imports, and it's a brand, a line of cigars made by the same company of the same name, L'Atelier. So what is L'Atelier Imports? Well, it's a company that was started by 4 people, a group of 4 different people. And who are these people? Well, one of them is Pete Johnson, who we all know and love already, or hate, depending on which side of the fence you're on. And he is the mastermind behind the Tatuaje cigar brand and several other brands henceforth. You know, I'm personally a big fan because I think the cigars are fantastic. That's it. You know, we're going to talk a little bit about other things and what other people say a little later on in this episode, but my main concern behind any brand, for the most part, is that the cigars are fantastic. My palate agrees with Pete's palate. Pete produces cigars that I find to be terrific, you know. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. We'll get into that. But anyway, so Pete Johnson. But Pete Johnson is not heavily involved in the company. He's responsible for starting the organization up, which means he probably financed it or something like that. And he's responsible for the cigars themselves, the L'Atelier line, but he is not involved in day-to-day operations, so to speak. All right, so anyway, next up is K.C. Johnson, Pete's older brother. Then we have Shawn Casper Johnson, believe it or not, no relation. I've heard rumors around the lounges that he's supposedly Pete Johnson's cousin. I found no proof of this whatsoever, online or elsewhere, so I'm going with that there is no relation. In fact, I found just the opposite, and I have found several places that say no relation. So there's Shawn Casper Johnson, and then there's Dan Welsh. Who the hell is Dan Welsh? Who the hell is this 4th guy who without the same last name? What is he doing there? Well, Dan Welsh, if you didn't know, if you don't do much cigar buying online, is responsible for New Havana Cigars. New Havana Cigars is a huge, well, you know, fairly big, pretty big deal cigar sales website. He's a cigar retailer for the most part, but he also has his own brand called Surrogates, his own line of cigars called Surrogates. We'll talk a little bit about that also. And he's most well known, his site and, you know, his business operation is most well known for his dealings with Pete Johnson and the Tatuaje brand, carrying a lot of Tatuaje cigars, the special release cigars, and several special releases that were made specifically for New Havana cigars. So these are the 4 horsemen. The 4 horsemen behind L'Atelier Cigars. That's what we're going to call them on the Dr. Joe show anyway. And I've got to say that the first third of my L'Atelier LAT54 is telling me that these 4 gentlemen have done quite the fine job. But there's still a whole lot of cigar left, so we'll see where that goes. Now, in which direction should we go? We talk about the cigars, or should we talk about... Yeah, of course. Let's talk about the cigars. L'Atelier, the line, the brand of cigars. Now that we know who established the company and what that's all about. By the way, L'Atelier Imports is located in Miami, a world away from Pete Johnson's Havana Cellars in Los Angeles. So, it's hard to be in two places at once, so he's got to depend on these guys to get it right. But it's not like they just do it. While they run the company and everything, I want to make it very, very clear that this is technically Pete Johnson's cigar. He created the blend, and his good old buddy, Pepin Garcia, the Garcia family, My Father Cigars, is responsible for the production. Say goodnight, Max.